Hey, welcome to this Q&A. Dan's sick with the flu, so I'm doing something. Took some questions from Twitter, and I'm gonna answer some questions right now. So hope you guys like it. It's fun. I hope it's fun. Matt Watson asks, why do you so openly support the mining of blood diamonds across okay, well that's not. Pro Jared asks, what do you do on the days where everything in your brain/mental state says you do not want to do the recording session that day? Holy fuck. I imagine it's harder for people who have to do it alone. I've learned that the hard way, having to do all this stuff alone. But I have somebody that I'm recording with, so at the very top of the list, it's I don't want to let that person down. You know, namely Dan, but I record with other people as well. That's a huge motivational factor, just because in my brain, letting somebody down is sort of like the worst thing ever. So, that's one of the things. Another thing is, I just have to figure out what it is that's getting to me. If I'm tired, you know, typically I'll do like a meditation or something. You know, if I'm tired, if I'm unfocused, or if I'm like upset about something, I'll meditate on it for like, you know, 10 to 20 minutes. And that'll usually calm me down and put me in a good place. You know, sometimes I'll try to chat with people in the office to get into a better mood. You know, just whatever I can, because it needs to be done. You know, we have a schedule to keep, and we gotta do it. So we do what we can, and sometimes like carrying that energy into the recording session isn't the worst thing, because then it can create sort of like an interesting recording session, right? Like we've had recording sessions where like we've been sick, or like something happened in our lives and we just had to do it, and it sort of created like more introspective episodes or whatever, and then maybe that's just how our format works, but you know, do what I can. I do whatever I can. Bob Moiskins asks, what is your approach/mindset when dealing with the negativity and vitriol of the comment section? Even if you don't read it, as many do, does the negativity that you know is there weigh on you in any way? Well, 60% of the solution to that is that I don't engage in that much at all. I've always, well, not always, I've recently considered it kind of, I don't know, it's kind of narcissistic to like look up yourself and read about yourself constantly, whether it's good or bad, because it's just like, there's other stuff in the world that's interesting, and there's other people in the world that are in your life. And you should focus on that, and that'll probably put you out of your headspace of like, what am I doing wrong, or like what about, and that's the second thing too, is the other 40% I think is that negativity sort of at least gets to me when it sort of taps into something that's going on with me. For example, if somebody came to me and said like, you're ugly, like I wouldn't care, because I don't have that insecurity about myself. Like it would just be kind of funny that they said that. But if somebody came to me and said something that really does get to me, that I really care, that I think about myself, then I'm like, oh, that hurts, because it sort of reinforces this idea that like other people think what I think about myself, which is negative. So in order to deal with that, I think it just takes a lot of self-care. Because like, if you read a comment and it gets to you, then try to figure out why it gets to you. And usually it's because you think it about yourself, and then try to figure out why you think that about yourself. And I think that'll probably help to some degree. That's how I deal with it anyway. I'm always about like, if something's wrong or negative in my life, I try to figure out how I can make it right. Or better, or work on it, or something. You know, and if it takes something like therapy or whatever, or something like that, like just do it. It's not, I've done it a million times. But thanks, Bob. Oh, there's a follow-up question to that from Caffeinated Inc. Asks, along those lines, I'd also be interested to hear your approach on things like meditation and mindfulness. You've touched on the topic before, and I'd love to hear more of your thoughts. So I practice several forms of meditation. The three main ones are a form of Buddhist meditation, Transcendental Meditation, and what's called a quadrinity meditation. So like Buddhist meditation is about mindfulness. So like it's like paying attention to the breath that's coming in and out of your nose and your mouth, or paying attention to like, you know, how your body feels as it's sitting where it is. And that sort of puts mindfulness first, right? Like you're trying to get out of your head. The other one I do is Transcendental Meditation, which is like focusing on a point or a word, and that has to do with like helping with concentration. And then the third one is the quadrinity meditation, which is like being in touch with the different parts of you, like your intellect or your emotions or your body. And that sort of allows me to like figure things out more. Typically, if something's like bothering me, or if I'm like in a bad mood, then it's like, okay, why? And then I just ask the various aspects of myself, and they usually give me an answer. You know, it's interesting how much you know about yourself intrinsically that that you can find out from yourself if you just ask the right questions. So yeah, the quadrinity thing is from I mentioned before on the solo Mega Man X episodes, is from this Hoffman therapy that I did, which super was a huge part of my life. So highly recommended. Dodger asks, hey Dodger, projects younger you wanted to make, but you know you'll never ever make them. That's tough because I feel like I'm capable of doing anything. I don't want that to come off as like snarky or like haughty, but like also like well, the thing that comes to mind the quickest is I wanted to make like a theme park when I was a lot younger, and I don't know that that's like not in the, like, why wouldn't I be able to, somebody made a theme park, like a bunch of people just made a theme park, so why can't I make a theme park? You know, it would be hard, but I think it's still possible. Would I? I don't know. Typically, when it comes to creative stuff, I just, I go with the flow of what I'm feeling in the moment. So, if I just got real fired up about making a theme park, I would just do it. Or I'd figure out how to do it, and then I'd do it. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything, like, that's, like, shifted in terms of what I want. So I know I'll never make it. I wanted to make, like, a nightclub, that was, like, this, like, 50s jazz club. And then there would be, like, a murder mystery every night. That was something I was really... There was like actors every night, and so you would go and you would just go like to a jazz club and listen to music, and you would like chat with these actors that like maybe you did or didn't know were actors, right? And then somebody got murdered at the establishment, and there was sort of like a lock-in, and then for the next, I don't know, hour or so, people, you would have to sort of help them figure out who was murdered. And then, like, stuff would happen, like, little moments would happen throughout the night with the actors, like, someone would get into an argument, and you could sort of mentally piece it together, but also you were helping the establishment figure out who was murdered. And it would sort of be different every night. So if you came back multiple nights, you know, you wouldn't have the same exact experience. That was something that I was really fired up about making, and it's not so much that I know I'll never make it, because maybe I'll get excited about it someday, but it's sort of not something I'm super interested in making right now. So that's one of the things. Thanks, Dodger. Mr. Chambers asks, do you find it overwhelming to juggle all the contacts and projects you have? Do you find enough time for yourself, and is it ever exhausting meeting new people all the time? Yes to all of those things. It is hard to find time for myself. It is exhausting meeting new people all the time. and it is overwhelming to juggle all the contexts and projects I have. I had to hire an assistant in order to help me keep track of my schedule because things were falling to the wayside too often. I was forgetting too many things. I was missing too many things, and I was starting to piss people off. So I had to get somebody to help me with that. Before I had I kept a schedule called Getting Things Done. It was a method that was formulated. It's a book you can get called Getting Things Done, and it's all about like putting actionable steps. And that was actually helping me pretty well, but that was very shortly before I got a personal assistant. So that was a huge help while it was. Juggling all the contacts and projects I have is tough, particularly contacts, because I know a lot of people and I like a lot of people. I like people, and I especially like helping people, and I like giving people the time. And I don't have a lot of time to give, so I think part of why GameGrumps exists in the way that it does, like with an office and people working out of here every day, is because now I get to spend time with everybody. I get to come in and check out their projects and give some insight and help and listen and, hopefully inspire a little bit. So that's my sort of solution to that. It is difficult to keep track of contacts and stuff. I don't make enough time for myself. I should. I think everybody should. I have been a little bit recently, just because it sort of came to a head, and I had like a depressive episode where I think I was overworking, and my brain didn't understand how to like recalibrate to relaxation mode, so it just got super depressed that I wasn't working. So I just had to chill for a while and not worry about anything, and that sort of helped a little bit. Is it ever exhausting meeting new people? Yes, for the same reasons that I like giving people time. And so when I meet people, I give them a lot of time, and I think maybe that gives people the wrong impression about that I'm able to give them time after I've met them. As much as I would love to, it is hard to sort of make time for people. But I love doing it, and I love seeing people and meeting up with people. It's one of my favorite things. It's just tough with all this stuff scheduled. I think 2018 is going to be a little more laid back for me. So I'll probably make more time for myself and other people to just be friends and cool. Anyway, thanks for listening to this Q&A. I appreciate you guys understanding that the content's a little different right now because Dan had the flu when we were supposed to record. But I try to do something interesting and insightful. So tune in for the next one. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.